Hey guys, number one Marmaduke fan here. Your boy Zach just had this whole series of videos where he was sick and he had like a little bit of cold medicine. He was talking about how he was going warp 10 and his low tolerance for anything pretty much had him hallucinating all day. I guess because I'm a skinny little stick figure person. I had one beer today and I'm like, I don't know. I'm on Mars right now. So, but anyway, so if I'm slurring my words, that's why. But I'm looking at two manga here: Bleach Volume 4 and Cirque de Freak Volume 4. I guess the connection of the two is they're both kind of cool, creepy cool stories, and they're both solid stories. So a solid story, it doesn't give me like a whole thesis to have some great, insight into the art of comics, but they're so good that I still feel like I should review them just to let you know, hey, these are still good. Because, that's something. If you can read a volume 1 and that's like okay. And then volume 2 and 3, it'll just immediately start sinking. But if something just keeps being good several volumes in a row, that's worthwhile. That means you can kind of get invested in it. So everyone's told me Bleach gets bad later. And what I've kind of enjoyed reading Bleach is, for a while I was saying, oh, well, people say Bleach gets bad, so I shouldn't get into it. It's so good. I'm so happy I got into it. And I've just decided if I ever decide it's getting stupid or getting bad, I'm just going to dip out. But it has such a very unique style and sensibility to it. So a lot of this shows up in the title pages, and I'm kind of reminded of how Will Eisner would use his title pages for the Spirit to, do something like the Spirit's knocking a bad guy through the words the Spirit, and the letters are all getting tumbled around. He would do just something clever with it and memorable. And what Tite Kubo likes to do is he just likes to do some sort of weird English phrase that is the title, but is kind of weird and mysterious. Doesn't really seem to fit with anything except maybe symbolically. And he's purely just doing this to create like a weird, cool Western vibe to everything. And later, actually, there's a part where he actually uses Western letter format, BLEACH, because he's kind of a Westaboo. I almost want to like wear all this weird clothing he comes up with, because his idea of fashion, I think, is just to combine a few things together that evoke something but aren't necessarily clear. So this one, the title is Spirits Aren't Always With Us, in reference to Don Kanoji, who's like this weird reality TV guy who hunts spirits and is kind of a big, larger-than-life personality. And so it's sort of like his catchphrase is, the spirits are always with us. Smells like mean spirit. So the comedy of this is that Ichigo finds him annoying and obnoxious, and everybody at his school likes Don Kanoji. So like a good comedy writer, they of course end up, circumstances are such that Don Kanoji and Ichigo are forced to work together to fight an evil ghost, and Kanoji's kind of getting on Ichigo's nerves a bit. Now they're really weird, such weird, cool ideas, like big polka dots in the hair and a cool curvy fence and some weird stuff. Spring will break. It's just so weird. I love it. So, like any good comedy writer, the annoying weird guy gets paired up with the easily annoyed, spiky-haired, brusque, masculine hero character, and they have to work together. Is this like a thing, this 15 Superman thing? This is so weird. Heroes can save you, number 31. But the people are talking a lot about subversion of expectations in relation to Star Wars. Like, The Last Jedi subverted people's expectations because Luke didn't want to train Rey. He was a jerk and he was jaded. So I've been thinking about that a lot, because I like it when a story subverts my expectations. It does something different than I was expecting. And I think that maybe the gradation is, you want to subvert the audience's expectations by being creative, but you don't want to subvert the audience's expectations by saying F you and give them a big middle finger. Like a middle finger in the middle of something subverts my expectations, but I don't know if I like it. So the way this subverts my expectations is kind of like the big, goofy, larger-than-life Kanoji. Kind of has this actually genuine thought on what it means to be a hero, where he recognizes he's a role model to younger kids, and so he can't be seen as a coward, even though he's out of his element. He's completely ignorant of what he's doing with all these weird ghost things. And he actually helps Ichigo a bit during the fight, even though he's kind of an idiot and he's still a liability. He does something genuinely heroic that gets Ichigo out of a tough situation. And Ichigo, as a male protagonist, is not expected to be super duper girl power Mary Sue girl. He actually has to work and earn stuff. And there are girl heroes who have this trait too. I think it's easier to remember you're supposed to have your boy characters do something important than your girl characters because of the trap of, I don't know, like girl power, I'm so special. I don't know, it's like a weird mentality people get into. So Ichigo, let's see, what am I thinking? Okay, so Don Kinoji praises Ichigo for kind of thinking through the situation and realizing, hey, we got to keep the monster away from the crowd of people so they don't get hurt. So as soon as Ichigo gets praised, he does something stupid. He forgets that he's in a tightly narrow corridor and his giant anime sword is too big for the tight little corridor he's in. So the Ichigo doing something smart and heroic, that's actually kind of genuinely cool, is the setup for Ichigo comedically forgetting something really obvious about his own sword and his own power. And the payoff is that Kanoji kind of realizes he's been ignorant of spirits this whole time, and Ichigo kind of reminds him, hey, you're a hero to all those people. You gotta, they can't see their hero looking down and being a loser. And then the punchline is that Don Kanoji tells Ichigo he gets to be his number one disciple, even though Ichigo's been the most important person in the whole fight. It's great comedy writing. I also like the payoff that the next day at school they get in trouble for being on TV and making fools of themselves. Here's this part where Tite Kubo is like, I think it was one of my Twitter boys said that he's a Westaboo. He likes to mix in a lot of like Western influence. So BLEACH, Rockin' Future Bleach. And he actually has thought of like the cool theme songs for all these characters, and it's usually Western bands. And I don't know, it's sort of, someone had a whole video on Hirohiko Araki and how music is really important to Hirohiko Araki's creative process. I just thought it was interesting that both Hirohiko Araki and Tite Kubo have, they've taken the time to think what kind of music their characters listen to. I try to think about that a little bit for my characters because it can be a hint at your personality if you're more of a bubble pop type. I really like this too. This is kind of like a classic. We didn't realize how important this would be in the future. And then it switches to black and the slow panels with the words separated from the panels breaking up the sentence, and then switching to a vertical format. So it's not just a black page. It's just a really strong visual impression with the words being emphasized in a single tiny little establishing shot. And the setup is like some other dude shows up and he's like a super dude too, and he doesn't like Soul Reapers. Another one of these cool title pages where he's doing something experimental that, I don't know, maybe it wouldn't fit in the regular manga, but looks really cool as a title image. Just gets you excited for it. Anything else? Oh yeah, and then some more cool character subversion stuff where Ichigo kind of looks like a spiky-haired, grumpy anime boy, but there's more to him than that. He was actually kind of like a sweet kid and like a bit of a soft little, what would be the word for it? Like, he cries really easily as a little kid, and then when his mom dies, it's sort of like he toughened up and became like a tough big brother. And so the way they subvert expectations is he's actually really good in school, and he's a really hard studier, but his reason for doing that is people judge him because he has red hair, and in Japan that's like a really weird thing, and you get picked on for that. So and the teachers will pick on him. So his way of trying to like minimize the amount he gets picked on is to try to get good grades just to get the faculty off of his back. And it's sort of like his friends realize, man, he thinks about our teachers in a completely different way than we do. I like seeing a character who's kind of bullied and picked on, but it's not like that destroys his life. He just kind of like figures out how to live his life in a way that is positive and sort of solves the problem of why he's getting bullied. He starts projecting a cooler demeanor, and then it surprises people that he actually is really smart. All right, Cirque du Freak, 4 volumes, 4 really good volumes. Darren Shan, kind of in the early volumes, was a little bit of a whiny kid, but he never was so whiny I got super annoyed. Like, he always is doing, cool stuff in the fights, and he's sort of growing and learning from his mistakes. This is the series that has like the weirdest names I've ever seen. I think it's based on an English novel series. So this is Mr. Death's Tiny, Destiny? And the manga art really sells him as a creepy, evil villain type of guy. But in the context of the world, a lot of the vampires think he's really cool and really well respected because of how old and ancient he is. And I thought this was some good world building because it introduced some things that by using characters without like hitting me over the head with a whole bunch of lore and details about the magic. So they've had this cool little cute weird thing following around, and Darren nicknamed him Lefty, and then Lefty finally takes off his hood and he reveals he's like this weird little Frankenstein thing, and he talks about how Destiny can take a ghost and give that ghost a human, kind of a Frankenstein human body if they want, but they only get 1 second chance at life, and then they're a ghost forever after that. And there's all this cool stuff about the vampire society, and they're all men, and they're very martial, and they only care about, like law and order and being as tough as possible, and they don't care if you die as long as the vampire race is kept strong, but they actually protect the human race from the vampanzy. And there's this really cool thing where one of the other vampires says, look, I don't agree with the vampanzy about killing humans. I just think they have some right ideas about letting vampires be free. I just want to kind of like adopt their good ideas and not adopt the killing humans aspect of their society. So there's some really cool, subtle world building stuff to this, as well as having, like good guy vampires and bad guy vampanays. Darren kind of realizes that Mr. Crepsley, who he used to hate, is kind of like him because he was once a student to a teacher, and he kind of figures out that student-teacher relationship, the student reflects on the teacher. This guy, what's his name? He's got some weird name. His deal is that he's like he's a politico in this vampire society. So all the vampires are very martial. They're all about fighting, and he's sort of interested in negotiating and making a deal with the vampanays to make a peace, which is why he's getting promoted to a prince. But some vampires hate him because he's gotten they sort of look at him as like a weak man. And I really like how the artist takes the time to just show the character in a full perspective and then goes to normal comics after that. That's a really good idea because it just gives me a moment to say, okay, here's the new guy. That's what the new guy looks like. Okay, now I know what the new guy looks like. Back to the story. And Darren does it again right here. Like, oh, here's the new girl. She's like one of the only girl vampires in the entire mountain, and everyone says she's super tough. Here's what she looks like. Okay, now let's have a super cool fight. And Darren has to earn her respect because she does not respect any vampire who is weak, who can't kind of like compete with her in martial virtues. So she makes this whole point to this guy, look, you're being elected to the princes. I will bow to you. I will do everything that's expected of me to honor you as my prince, but I will not shake your hand because I don't respect you. So Darren, when she doesn't shake his hand, because he's kind of like a young, Shonen Jump style protagonist, he decides, well, I've got to earn her respect, and has a cool fight with her. And, there's like this back and forth. He barely holds his own. He does something kind of smart, and in the end he loses, but he holds his own enough that he earns her respect. But look, even then, it kind of subverts my expectations. He asks her for the handshake, and she says, one good fight doesn't make you a warrior. Shake. And if I don't, and then he says, well, then I'll get right back on the bars and fight you again. he did earn her respect, but it's sort of like she's grudging to show respect, even if you've earned her respect. I don't know. That's like, it's really easy to write a simple adventure story. Character has a problem. They're weak. They're stupid. They're inexperienced. They got to learn how to get experience. They got to learn how to get strong. They got to learn how to get smart to fight the bad guys. Good. There's the good guy team. There's the bad guy team. Maybe the good guy teams have a few dumb things about them. Maybe the bad guy team, maybe they have like a good reason for doing the bad guy stuff. But the good guy character, he's got to learn how to be a good guy. It's easy and it's hard. It's easy because you've seen it 1,000 times in 1,000 great stories. It's hard because it's easy to forget and just think that it's all about making the character like super duper special person. So, how not to write Mary Sue's? Well, 2 good examples of how not to write Mary Sue's. Bleach Volume 4, Cirque du Freak Volume 4. Oh, wait. I want to show you the cool. I always like showing the cool stuff at the end. So the creative team is Takahiro Arai is the name of the lead guy. He's really interesting because he was raised in Scotland, and so he had a lot of like British reference from his childhood for this series. I'm just going to read this. Well, no, I shouldn't read it because it's just like a whole bunch of details, but he talks about okay, so like his childhood in Scotland. He talks about the first volume, which I actually didn't get to read, and things like the British lunchboxes were interesting to him. So he explains to his Japanese audience what it's like to bring a lunchbox to school in the United Kingdom, Scotland, not Britain. And then he like shows you what a Western lunch looks like. You know, apple, peanut butter, and jelly sandwich. And as a little tadpole crying to his mom to please make me a English style lunch. Don't make me a Japanese style lunch. It's very human. I like getting to see this perspective. If I had money after school, I'd splurge at the candy store. Pick out what you want and have them weighed before you buy. Yeah, he's just like explaining Western culture to the little weebs in Japan. I love it. And like spider candies, so weird. I like that he kind of like thinks about his childhood, and he thinks about how to draw from his childhood for a Western story. So the author, Darren Shan or whoever the real author is a Western guy. Takahiro Arai brings a very genuine manga sensibility to it. It's a great combo. It's a really great combo. It makes for like a cool, freaky, weird early 2000s, distinctly edgy, but also very heartfelt and very sincere, creepy, cool vampire story with some good heroism elements to it. Bleach, I just love the weird, funky fashion to it. That's enough. 16 minutes. I'm a normal Marmaduke fan. I love you guys. Like, comment, subscribe. Click the bell to receive notifications. Check out my Subscribe Star. I got a whole bunch of photos from the Chicago Art Institute. I'm editing and making those free public domain albums for people. No paywall. You don't have to pay to get those. If you draw something with that, let me know, and I'd love to see. With that, catch you later.